Hello, Canada, and welcome once again to the OneSoccer Hangout. Joining us today for an important discussion on society and the return to play in the Canadian Premier League is the head coach of Pacific FC, Pa-Modou Kah. Welcome back to the show, Coach. We appreciate you joining us once again. How have things been since the last time we spoke?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's been great. I've only seen smiley faces from my boys since we allowed back to training, so that has been helpful.
That's why we brought Asa back on today, too, for his smiling face. There it is. How are you, Asa?
Yeah, doing all right, Adam. Yeah, keeping busy. Enjoying all the exciting sports news with games returning. You heard of the MLS coming back next month, so that should be great. And then Bundesliga action, the Pokal action that we have as well with the German tournament on OneSoccer. So things are good. I'm happy.
Kurt, are you happy? You always perk up a little bit when live sports come back around. So landing the DFB-POKAL must have really brightened your spirits.
Yeah, Asa just said everything that needed to be said. I had the same thing in my mind. So thanks to Asa for taking my words. Yeah, look, obviously the German Cup on OneSoccer later today is going to be fantastic. The final on July 4th, and now we're ready for MLS to come back, and now we have a CPL head coach on the show today to talk about the potential return of the CPL very soon. So it's all good.
Yeah, we're going to get to the return of the CPL shortly, but we want to start the first half of our show today by continuing the dialogue and the discussion that we have been having that has followed the murder of George Floyd, and just everyone coming out and speaking up and trying to educate and listen and learn about the systematic racism we see in our society and what impact that is having on the game we all love, which is soccer. So, Paul, the first question I wanted to ask you is, last week on SportsCenter, Taylor Twellman said that he believes that football is the most racist sport in the world. And as a former international player yourself, what comes to mind when you hear a statement like that? And do you think Taylor Twellman is right?
Honestly, he's right in the sense of we see, especially in Europe. Like in Europe, it's more emotional and mental, and it's cooperative, right? So they know it, they see it, but it's just, okay, let's talk about it for a week and let's pass by. Like you see it in England, Tammy Abraham, Raheem Sterling, on the coaches' sides as well. You see it, right? I've experienced it. So we know what is it in Europe. People will talk about it for a week, and then it's okay, life goes on. But now they're talking about America because now people see it. Because if Floyd was not kneeled on and was shot and nobody had proof of it, I think it will be a thing that people will talk about it for a week and let it pass by. But it's a video that surfaced, and it's 2020, and I think a lot of people now took it to heart, understanding that, okay, this is wrong. This is not even about being black or something. You're taking a man's life, all right? You're taking a human's being life, okay? The difference is we've been crying for help for 400 years. Right, that's the difference. We've been talking about the same issues over and over and over. The only thing we're asking for is, do we get the same chances? It's nothing else that we're asking for or crying for. It's just treat us as normal human beings. We're no different to nobody. I'm not different to you. I'm not different to Kurt. I'm not different to Arash, because we're all human. So can we then focus on educating each other, helping each other, and create a better society? Because I feel that is what lacking. Just to have the chance just to sit with one another and explain your feelings, how you feel, what's going through your head. Because racism is everywhere. It's the biggest pandemic we have around the world. Right? We can choose to feel it, we can choose to see it, and we can ignore it whenever we want. And when you think of Europe again, that is the difference. They see it, they know it, but they choose to ignore it. While in here, in America, right, it's the same, but it's more in the open. People know it, and people see it, and people live it through every single day. Like, I'm lucky I've had the possibility to have it a couple of times, get through it a couple of times, but imagine going through it every single day. Like, every single day you wake up, you're thinking, okay, I don't have a job, I'm trying to survive, and on top of that, I don't know whether I will even be able to get home. While somebody else can wake up in the suburb, kiss their wives, goes to job, come back home like nothing happens. And then when they see that and they cannot comprehend what the person is going through, because they never felt it. They never felt it.
Paul, one of the ways you helped us to understand a little bit about what you've been through in your career was, if you reflect back to when we had you on a few weeks ago, you had mentioned one of the occasions, I believe it might have been in Saudi Arabia or Qatar when you were playing there.
Oh, yeah.
I think you said it involved your wife. But to help maybe our viewers understand it and us understand it a little bit more, I mean, you've played in Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, like you said, all over Europe. Can you provide any more instances or kind of reflect back on any other occasions that can help us understand a little bit better?
Simple. I'm the first fully black guy to ever play for Norway. All right.
Yeah.
And I remember 2002. My contract was about to be done in 2003. And January 2002, we went for a national team camp. And I said I was not going to resign. Right. And at that time, it was not like social media, but we had on the Players Union, we had the email side and people can go right in and ask questions about you. The emails and the hate that I received just for not wanting to resign, and this is in Norway, by the way, you could not imagine. They had to shut me down just because of the full hatred emails that was coming in. Because just me, as a person, I said I didn't want to resign.
How did you respond? How did you react to that, Coach?
All right, my mindset is different. I looked at it as, and I'm very stubborn. I looked at it as, I'm like, all right, now you show me your true color. So I'm playing the game I love. Nobody will take away the love of my game. But now I know what type of people I'm dealing with. When it's suitable, okay, I'm a Norwegian. But if I do something bad, now then also I become the Gambian. So then I was referred to as the Gambian Norwegian, not the Norwegian player. Right? So that is the form of a different way that psychologically, as a young man, you're also thinking of it like, wow, what's just happened? Like, am I the only guy that said I don't want to resign? Like, thinking for myself and want to achieve something else, and now I'm looked at as a difference. Now all of a sudden, I don't count anymore as a Norwegian. I don't count it anymore. Now I'm just counting as the foreigner, and the way I'm looked at. And it was the same in Holland. Like, people can speak, but you have in Holland, I remember it night and day. We're winning, we're playing away, other than Hag, who has a lot of back players in their team, but every time they're facing against a team with other black people, they start the racing chants, right? I got called monkey. So I'm walking off the pitch and I hear the dude and he said monkey. So I looked at him, I said, say it again. And he's happy thinking he's doing. He said, monkey again. I said, you see, you do listen to the monkey then. And just walked off. And he felt so embarrassed. And everybody around him started laughing because it was like, that is a form of way that I deal with it. But trust me, people look at America, yes, it's pretty bad because of the history of the slavery, what has gone through. Like the same with the indigenous people, everything that's happened. But Europe is the same.
Yeah. Especially
when it comes to sport. And then you look at the background, it's happening in the countries that has been the colonizers. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality of it. It is. You look at England, they colonize Africa. Spain, France, Italy.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. People talk about Germany, but Germany now have dealt with it. Germany have dealt it in a different way.
Yeah.
But all these other countries are still behind. Yeah. They may hide behind a campaign and stuff like this, but for how long?
You make a great point, Pa. It does happen absolutely everywhere, including here in Canada. It's forced a lot of countries to reflect and look at their own first. In a recent CBC article, former Canadian basketball player, NBA champion with Miami Heat, Joel Anthony says he experienced more racism in Canada than in the United States. This statement may be shocking to some people who believe racism isn't a big problem in Canada. You spent about 5 years, Pa, in Canada, in BC. When have you experienced or witnessed racism in this country?
Well, for me, honestly, I've been lucky that I haven't seen it like Joel and all Canadians, because sometimes also you do not see it in a way that other people will see it. Like, let's say the First Nations or what they've gone through, right? You read and you hear about it, but you don't feel the same pain, but you kind of do, because you feel the minority same as them. You are a minority same as them. So you know what they're crying for, right? I can understand the First Nation, like thinking this is my own land and now it's been taken away from me. So what do I do? And that's what I try to explain to people. It's like, imagine 400 years ago, right? Somebody walk up to your house in 2020, put a gun into your face, take your kid, take you, put you on a ship, and take you to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
In a journey about a couple of months in a boat. Like, you didn't just stand up and say, hey, I want to go to this country freely. No, you were taken. So how would people feel now if that was done to them? So therefore, I always say, let's educate.
Yeah.
Like, history is meant to be rewritten. So can we be our part and rewrite that history, right? Not erase it, but rewrite it. Not only for us, but our future generations to come. Because we need our kids to understand that it's all right to look at somebody else and not see color, but see a human, because there's a human standing in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no easy way to transition away from this topic, but what I wanted to ask you next is, one of the most important pieces of this movement and what's going on in the world right now is the ability for people like yourself to share your stories and to educate, and for us to just listen and try and wrap our heads around it. So as a young coach with a young team, as we move back into a CPL conversation, what are some of the discussions you've been having with your players to make sure that everyone is listening and learning too, and feeling comfortable enough to share and express themselves?
No, I mean, for us as club, we always tell our players to be expressive with their feeling, because it's important, because we just don't look at them as players. For me, I look at them as people first, as human beings first, with feelings, right? And the good thing is we have different backgrounds in our team, right? So, but for us, everybody's equal, everybody's the same. We just see the human being. And whether you're white, Chinese, Filipino, we have Indian, Jamaican, mixed race in there. It doesn't matter to us. It's the person that matters. Right, the person that matters, and what the person has to offer us as human beings. Therefore, we know what he can offer to us as a player. Yeah. So in our club is open, right? Express yourself. You stand for what you think is right. I will support you. Right, and that's the crazy part of football and soccer. You look at it. I played against Rob Friend in 3 different countries. Rob Friend in 3 different countries. Right. Fast forward, he retired in 2014 or 15. I retired in 2016. 4 years later, he hires me as a head coach together with Josh Simpson. Right. With James Merriman, who I first met on an open health in Naimo. Never talked to James. Here is a black man born in Gambia, raised in Norway, went to Canada, met somebody through the love of soccer, through football. That's how we met, right? And I consider James as a family. Yeah. I'm not looking at James as the white man. Mm-hmm. No, for me, James is my brother, just through the love that we share with soccer, but also what we share off the pitch. Sometimes some things is just, you can't just describe it, it's just meant to be. And that's what I tell people. That's why I say, we need to get out of our comfort zone and feel uncomfortable being around other people to learn and understand what some people are going through. Because all it takes is a minute just to talk, and you have the feeling that, oh, I'm no different. No, right? The only thing is a little bit different is Adam got hair and I don't. And the second thing is, we're talking about Pacific, and I'm seeing somebody wearing a Calvary hat. So that's for me. Little things, the little details that you can talk about too as well. So But you know, but I think the more that we in society talk about it, be more open about it, and sometimes crack a joke about it, because that might break the ice for people just to feel more comfortable being around other people. And like Kurt said, I had the pleasure to travel and be around different continents to see how people are. So for me, if I meet somebody from somewhere, that kind of helps me also break the ice, maybe with a couple of words of where they're from and stuff like that, and they feel at ease.
Mhm.
But we need to do more.
Paul, you mentioned Rob Friend, your CEO, who brought you to Pacific. He'll be joining the guys on the pregame show ahead of Bayern Munich semifinal German Cup match in about a half hour. You also mentioned James Merriman, and since we're talking about hair, James Merriman, great head of hair on him as well.
Man, he's never wrong. His hair is never wrong. Unbelievable. This guy. Oh dear.
But you guys are back in training now, both you and James. Can you just tell us a little bit how training's going? And you probably saw the commissioner earlier this week on OneSoccer with Asa talk about how it appears like we will be back playing soon. So just what's going on at Pacific FC? How's training, and how excited are you to get back and maybe play some games?
I mean, first of all, it's great. You know, it's great to see the boys again, and our boys, to be honest, they've been fantastic. Their commitment and their level of professionalism, being pro every single day to the work that they did prior to COVID, during COVID, and now it's amazing, hands down. And also to our medical staff, they've done a great job, you know, and the club has been wonderful. But yeah, just to see the boys on the pitch smiling, just doing what they love, you know, and it's totally different when something has been taken away from you, like they did, you know. They're coming into preseason happy, ready to go. Boom, COVID happens. But I think it gave them a great deal of appreciation of what the game of football is.
Mhm.
Right? They appreciate it more. Now they love it more because it was taken away from you. And then now you get it back. It's like you hold on to it tight, and seeing them every single day, everybody's progressing. So I'm happy. And the commissioner talking about playing the games, oh, obviously, that's great news. And I think for me, the CPL needs to have a league.
Mhm.
They need to play the league, because for the league to grow, and looking forward to the World Cup in 2026, we need to have the league play out this year.
Obviously, we saw Michael Silberbauer, at the helm at Pacific last year. How difficult is it going to be for you to come in and put your stamp on the team and play the way you want to play, just given there's been no time to really prepare in that way? I mean, how do you even go about trying to communicate to the players and get them to maybe play a different way?
Well, I was not here last year, but I think for me, the most important thing that we did this year was when we went to Tofino is we laid our plan out, our philosophy and our vision of how we wanted to be in as a team, but also on and off the pitch. And we have done a lot of Zoom calls during this quarantine. It has given us time to focus on other areas. And for my boys, they're ready to go. They understood what is their understanding of what is asked of them. First of all, the expectation and the demands, but also the expectation and demands that they put on themselves. You know, that we, James and I and my technical staff, put on them. You know, and so far they're all open. They want to learn, and they're ready to learn, and they get it. And that's why being able to get back now onto the pitch and do this small group training will be very effective, because then you can focus on other areas that will truly help the players as well.
Mm-hmm. Paul, one last question from me. With Bayern Munich getting set to take on Eintracht Frankfurt soon, and I'm hearing that Alphonso Davies is in the lineup. You know Alphonso Davies from your time with the Vancouver Whitecaps. How much of his growth did you see coming? How much has he impressed you? And how often are you contacting him about joining Pacific FC at some point?
Oh, that we don't need to discuss that. He knows. He knows that when he's done with Europe, there's only one team to come to. Because then otherwise, me and him, we're not family anymore. No, but jokes aside, the boy's been amazing since the first time he stepped into our training at the Whitecaps, the first team training, and to where he is now. That is part thanks to his, thanks to himself, but his talent, because his talent is God-given. You know, you just have to provide him a platform and teach him stuff. And he's still growing,
Yeah.
You know, he still got areas he grows, and he knows that he doesn't impress me that easily. He knows it because I don't know if you guys remember, I think it became a world sensation that he made that recovery, you know, to get the ball out of his goal. Boom, everybody talk about it. But me, the first thing I said to him was, hey, your positioning is poor. Because if it was somebody else with a more skillful and more speed, that's a goal. So those are the areas that I try to help him still. And he does his job. And his right foot, he's scoring with his right foot. Before he just used to use it to stand on it. But Fonzie is a great kid. And there's another Cinderella story. A kid raised in war zone, Canadian international. So there you go, you know, and because of football, right? So imagine if people were trying to stop him from having the chance and possibility to become what he could become right now. We would never have heard about Alphonso Davies.
I think that's a great spot to end it for today. And like you mentioned, Paul, because of football, it's not all, there's a lot of work to be done in the game of football, certainly a lot of work to be done in society, but Alphonso Davies is a perfect example of what positives can come together when we all just work together and stop trying to see the world through the lens of race. Paul, it's only been 20 minutes, but I think I've learned so much in 20 minutes. It's been a very educational 20 minutes, and we appreciate your vulnerability and your willingness to come onto the show, share your stories, and help continue to push this dialogue forward. So thank you very much.
100%. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Pa.
Thank you.
That is not it for today, though, everyone. Coming up in just about 20 minutes, it is the pregame show for the DFB-POKAL second semifinal, Frankfurt and Bayern Munich. Alphonso Davies on OneSoccer once again. It's a beautiful day, so we'll turn things over for now to Gareth Wheeler, Josh Cloak, Rob Friend, and Oliver Platt. In the meantime, thank you very much on behalf of Kurt Larson and Asa Rahman, producer Lucas and Armin. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you liked it, and share it with a friend. Be positive, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you very soon.
So I can step out now?
Dismiss. Yeah.
You sure
Thanks so
can,
much.
Paul. Thank you very much.